Dennis Miller Show. I'm the aforementioned Mr. Miller. What's happening this hour? In our next segment, we'll get the latest business news from capitalistpig.com founder and contributor to Fox News Channel's Cashing In, Jumpin' Johnny Honig. Sorry, I just flashed on when we were kids. There was a wrestling show in Pittsburgh called Studio Wrestling on Saturday night. And when I said Johnny Honig, it reminded me of one of the wrestlers on there who was a midget wrestler. And that's what they were called then. I know. What is it called now? Little person? A little person from the forest? Or there's some weird name where I think, geez, I'd rather just get the Midge moniker dropped on me than.
But that's not your decision to make.
I know, but what is it again? Tiny
little
person?
Little person.
Little person. I mean, really? Is there anybody out there who's, well, interestingly enough, the character's name on Studio Wrestling was a little person Native American, I guess. We called him, a midget Indian wrestler named Sky Lolo. But he wasn't anywhere near India. You could just tell. And when I said Johnny Honig, I think that might have been his real name, something like that, from the east side. And he used to run the ropes and fall through the ropes. And, it was very Caligulesque. But times of yore, I know that those are all sins now. But I do remember we used to love the little person Native American wrestlers. And we'll talk to comedian Tom Arnold.
Also a little person.
No, big man. Big
Yeah,
man.
he's actually lost 100 pounds recently.
Oh, really?
To talk about, yes.
Oh, okay. And my favorite Tom stories are when he worked in the butcher house. They used to just have cows coming by 8 hours a day, and he'd have a cleaver, and he'd have to gut them and all that. Can you imagine?
No, I cannot imagine.
It's like you're taking notes in an Eli Roth pitch. 866-509-RANT, 866-509-7268, our phone number. This segment of the show is brought to you by AutoZone. Get some of the money back that you put into your car. Head to AutoZone today for your free AutoZone rewards card. Let AutoZone pay you to shop. Get in the zone. AutoZone. In a previous past, present, future hour, we had Guy Benson on. Christian, was I too rough on Guy?
I think, it was
Should
clear.
I apologize to him?
It was clear you were really frustrated, but
I'm not frustrated by Guy. He's a lovely
yeah.
cat, but we're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Jeez. I guess I shouldn't have taken out on him. So, but I wasn't trying to take it out on him personally. I was just expressing my exasperation.
Yes.
So Guy Benson, townhall.com. I know you're thinking, what, you're like Joe Bologna in My Favorite Year, buying him some tires now by throwing him the plug on the blog?
Would you like me to send him some tires?
Can we get him on the phone and I can apologize? Do you have his phone number?
We can call him if you like, sure.
I'll hold. I'm not doing anything here.
Well, we've
call him while I sing War Pigs. Ready?
Did you a cappella on a
Yeah,
company?
I'm just going to do it a cappella. I'm going to do a little jazzy, a little Joe Williamsy, a little scatty, and you call up Guy, and I'll apologize. Maybe he can even come in on the end of the song. Just it'll take a second. I'll just say, Guy, I'm just so damn exasperated, but sorry, you're a good guy, and I like you, and I didn't want to take it out on you. You ready? You dial while I work. A 1 and a 2. Generals gathered in their masses, not solo, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds, the plot destruction, shun. Hey, wait, I'm working a cappella here. Stop that. Sorcerer of deconstruction. In the fields, the body's burning. Ooh, that's hot. As the war machine keeps turning, grease the wheels. Oh, Lord, now, do. Everybody up, dance like Nomi and Showgirls. There's a guy. Hey, Guy. Dennis.
Oh, hello, Dennis.
I just wanted to say that I like you so much, and I'm exasperated. And in our last hour, I thought it might be coming out that I was rough on you. I think you're an exemplary human. I'm so sick of watching creeps win that I guess I've been pushed to some sort of, I don't know. You shouldn't have suffered through that. I like you a lot, Guy, and I think you're a super smart guy, and if we have guys like you running it, I'm sure everything will work out right.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and there's no apology needed whatsoever, although I will now put the brakes on a vicious attack ad I was producing against you.
You're right, Guy. Touché, my friend. Touché. Handled with the degree of panache that I knew he would. We'll talk at you down the road, brother, and sorry I was cranky.
Sounds good. Not a problem at all.
All right. Good guy. Huh? I've met Guy on the road. I met him with Beck one night. And the thing about he came in right after Beck.
Yeah.
Beck came in with Red and Sonny West. That's how deep the entourage was.
Oh, yeah. No, he rolls usually 5 deep.
Yeah, and Guy just sort of saunters up to you, and he's alone. And the handsome kid, very charismatic. He says, "Hey, I'm Guy Benson." You would have never known. He's like 8 years old.
Yes, exactly. he's like Wally Cleaver.
The smartest 8-year-old on the block. All right, we'll be back. We're going to talk to Johnny Honig, see what's up with this darn economy. Dennis Miller Show, of course, is Michael Winslow Unplugged. That's not an actual horn.
No.
That Winslow from the Police Academy films. Simu-horning. I'll tell you, if I was betting futures markets, I'd bet Michael Winslow's Simu-sacks.
I know I would.
Joining us now, show accountant, financial advisor, all-around good cat. His website is capitalistpig.com, and you can follow Jonathan on Twitter at Jonathan Honig, and that's Jonathan, not O-N-A-N, Honig, Hoenig. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm concerned, Dennis.
Why is that?
I'm concerned.
Why? The economy under the firm hand on the tiller of the brilliant Barack Obama, in addition to Ben Bernanke dropping an $80 billion per month bath salt into the water, is fizzing. Why are you concerned?
No, Dennis, I'm not concerned about the economy. I'm concerned about you.
Oh, what's happening?
I heard your interview with Guy, and do you need to talk to somebody? Can I refer you to somebody?
No, I feel great. I'm just pulling back from the public life. Not that I lead a public life, but I'm not paying as much attention, and I realize that many people on our side are, I don't know, everybody's happy, and I was finding myself to be the one guy who says, this isn't good what's going on. And I thought, you were in the minority. You must be missing the point. Stay out of it. So I'm more out of it. I feel good, Jonathan. I'm not even kidding you, but I'm...
Well, I get it. I mean, sometimes you need to disengage. But don't become a malevolent person. Keep being a benevolent person. Look around the world we live in, and get off of Obozo for a moment, and just look at the technology, the miracles that every day are in this country, and be thankful, as I know you are.
I thought you were teasing about worrying about me. You're actually worried about me. I'm in good shape. I have to do a radio show, though. You realize that you got to kind of roll. Well, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, just look at this country. Look how wonderful we are. Be so thankful that, every day you're not in, yes, Obama, blah, 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 but you know what? We're not in tribalist Africa. We're not in Ukraine. We can express ourselves. We can go to a Whole Foods and buy any vegetable under the sun. You can hang with your friends. You can buy anything you've ever wanted, any magazine that's ever been published through Amazon. So I'm frustrated about the politics, Dennis, but, we still live in the greatest country in the greatest time in the history of mankind. So don't spend it being so malevolent and down about the world. That's all I'm saying.
Right, I don't, but it would probably... There's no way I can argue with you. But I'm pretty happy right now. I appreciate you listening to the segment before you and telling me not to be unhappy in my life. But like I said, it's a moot point.
Yeah.
I'll try, Guy. I'll try to follow your advice.
There's a lot of good
stuff in the world.
One of which has been a pretty good run for the stock market. And I know what you're going to say. It's just Ben Bernanke. It's just financial hocus pocus. Some of that may be true, but it's no question that there's a lot of companies innovating, creating values, producing tremendous values. Just look to the mighty Midwest. I mean, the unemployment rate in North Dakota is 2.5%. It's not because of stimulus; it's because of fracking. That's making a lot of energy prices really low right now. So, there's good things happening in this country, despite Washington, not because of it.
I hear a lot of optimism, Jonathan. I'm glad you're happy, and thus I will be happy because you want me to be happy. Let's go on with some other things.
I can't make you happy. You need to be happy, and I'm just here to, as you said, I want you to get by with a little help from your friends. I want to be one of those friends.
Let's talk about the S&P 500, John. It's on its first 6-day win streak since September. There's great news.
I'm not buying it from you.
I don't know what to do, Jonathan. Just tell me what you want me to do with the rest of the interview. I don't quite know what to do.
I am happy about it, Dennis. I'm happy that the market's up. I think that, there's a lot of positive signs about the economy. The market being up is one of them. There's tremendous innovation going on in this economy. I mean, I don't know if you happen to see, and you know what? The market's working. The guy from the gentleman, what is his name? Med Kafazi won the Boston Marathon. You know what? Shares of the shoe he wore, the Skechers shoe, jumped on that news. So, markets are working. You can buy, Dennis, now an IPO in an NFL star. Vernon Davis is actually going public, not on the New York Stock Exchange, but on a new type of basically entertainer exchange, sports star exchange, where you can buy a piece of Vernon Davis's future revenues. So there's innovation going on. There's great things going on in this country. You just need to, and I think you're right, you need to pull yourself out of the day-to-day headlines and look at the bigger picture. And I am bullish. I'm absolutely bullish on America, and I own stocks in America. I own real estate in this country, and I don't think there's any other place in the world besides Egypt that I'd want to put my money right now.
The absolute best. We're talking to Jonathan Honig, his website, capitalistpig.com. You can follow Jonathan on Twitter, at Jonathan Honig. Dow Transport's hit a record. That's a great sign, huh?
Well, it's good for Warren Buffett. I mean, he was pretty shrewd. And here's a perfect example of, Warren Buffett is a big interest in railroads, Dennis, and it's a perfect example of how businessmen are sometimes great at making money, but not always great at politics. So Warren Buffett bet big on railroads, and transportation stocks in general are absolutely doing really well. It's so easy to kind of take your eye off the bigger picture, and I even remember, back in the internet days, after that bubble burst, there was a sense, Dennis, of how are we ever going to get past it? How are we ever going to kind of move on from that? And I think the market is. I think the economy is. I think the economy is starting to look past some of the interventions and some of the destructive elements of the last few years. And the fact that a lot of these indices are at all-time highs is one good sign.
Yeah. Now, listen, I don't want to send you into something. I'm going to deviate for 1 second here and ask you about something that might not be great, but I don't need the lecture. The unemployed. I just noticed that is the new unemployment rate right around 7% going to be our new normal? And once again, Brido asking you that. I know you're feeling full of piss and vinegar today, but that's not a great. Is that? Just let me ask you. Get out of your way. Is that the new normal, or should I be good with that?
It completely depends on government. I mean, Dennis, in France, where they have all these strict, minimum wages and restrictions on hiring and firing, they've had over 10% unemployment for decades. So, in a free economy, as you know, there is an unlimited amount of jobs.
So we're 3 to the positive.
That could be created.
Well, are we or aren't we? I don't know what your laughing means. But you're saying now, listen, I had this talk with Ben Stein once, and it takes one call for me to adjust to a guy for going from, wow, this is not what Ayn Rand would have fancied, to it's all great guns. And I assume that you have some investments that you need to be bullish on. But I'm being serious when you say that Europe's at 10%, we're at 7, we're 3 in the plus, right?
Yes, but whether we go up to 10, 15, or 20, or down to 4, 3, 2, and 1, where I think we can be, is totally dependent on government. I think that's the point we need to keep reinforcing, is that, you say is 7% the new normal. It doesn't have to be. If people are left free to pursue their self-interest, to create jobs, to make money, to achieve a profit, there's no reason why the unemployment rate has to be at 7%.
Well, I heard President Obama say that in a speech the other day, and I haven't been listening to him in a few years because I think he kind of is I don't think he's a truth teller on that. But now, listen, you're somebody I respect. If you're telling me now you're echoing the president's feeling that they're all about getting out of the way, I feel good. But grant me one phone call where I say, wow, Jonathan's, it's like a body snatcher pod took over him. But things are good now, and it has nothing to do with Bernanke, and we're at 7%. It could be worse. It could be at 10, and it's all freeing up, and it's the man at the head. But you know, it just took me, it didn't even take me a whole call to get used to the new approach. I'm with you now, Jonathan.
Well, I don't know if you are, but, I'm bullish on this country, Dennis. I really am. Now, I don't credit the president, but...
Well, who else would you credit? He's in charge for 6 years.
I don't know what hand the president had in delivering me my Amazon songs this morning or serving me a hot, fresh cup of coffee for a price below the cost of inflation. He had really no hand in that. So what I'd like to do, and I know you'd like to do, is get him to step away. Where we're losing the battle, and I hope you'd echo this as well, is on the moral side. So when the president says, Dennis, you've got a lot of money. You can afford to pay X, Y, Z more. I think we need, not you, I think we as Americans need to get better at saying, listen, I made this money. I earned this money, and it's not yours to redistribute. And you're seeing it, we've talked about it, Dennis, in California, where people with money are leaving the state.
Johnny, I'm up against the break, but I want to say you're one of my go-to guys, and it's gangbusters. I feel happier getting off the call. Thanks for leading me to it. Dennis Miller Show. Dennis Miller Show. That was awkward. I felt like I was paying immediate karma comeuppance for being so hangdog with a guy.
I can't wait to hear you talk to Tom Arnold.
Well, listen, when Jonathan said, I'm worried about you, I think you need help at the beginning, I was thinking, my joke thing went off. I said, okay, watch where he takes it, then make a self-deprecating joke.
Yeah.
But then when he hung on it, I thought, I guess Jonathan thinks I need help, and then that got awkward, so I tried to get a little happy talk to move the interview along, and then he didn't like that, and that's when I said to him, just tell me what you want me to do, John. I don't quite know what to do, but certainly in the past, Jonathan's been more adherent to his sort of objectivist leanings, and what I take away from that is he's no longer shorting the market, I guess. So now he's in the robust thing, and it took me a while to adjust to it, but tell him next time I'm on, Christian, I'll do the complete softball thing, about how good it's all going. And I don't know, that gave me a little bit of hivish behavior there. And John, I know you continue to listen. Don't worry, it's no big thing. I'm just saying that was so awkward. All right, 866-509-7268, our phone number. I've made a general note to myself to more happy talk in the interviews. I think I might be getting a little too real here, and I don't think it's serving anybody, particularly me. So I'll work on my happy talk for the future and make it sound less like I don't mean my happy talk. I think that's what my career is being summoned to right now. All right, a little later in the hour, we'll be joined by Tom Arnold. I'm sure he's got something incredible happening. I'll be performing at the Orleans Casino and Hotel in Las Vegas, June 13th and 14th. For more information, go to DennisMillerRadio.com and click on Dennis Live. What are we doing now? Taking phone calls until we chat up Tommy Arnold. So we got a segment here. Anything you want to talk about, anything your little heart desires, at 866-509-7268. Absolutely heart-wrenching Los Angeles Kings loss last night. You're not watching the hockey, are you, Christian?
I'm watching enough in the way of the highlights to know that,
gosh, we had them pinned in that overtime. I thought, okay, guys, get this in because you don't want one of those things. That's what happens in hockey. If they hold you back at the barricades, if they do the Les Mis thing, invariably they come down. They had 2 shots last night that were like Stu Miller's, curveball. They were ephus pitches, Rip Sewell. And, really floaters that made it in past a great goalie, Mike Quick. Ironically, the shots were too slow for Quick. They threw him off speed, and he was swinging on the change. But heartbreaking loss. And I guess I have to steel myself here and hope the Kings do a great comeback. And can they win 4 in a row? Does that ever happen? We got a hockey expert out there. Can somebody come back from 3-0, or is it just over now? But last night,
I think somebody could come over, but not a team that gave up 13 goals in the first 2 games.
Yeah, but last night they won that game. They lost it. I don't want to do that.
It, though.
Yeah, that's stupid. I get pissed when people do that, so I get pissed at myself there. They lost the game, but they played much better. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Carl in New Hampshire. Hey, Carl, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I just wanted to tell you the first time in 7 years I've actually made popcorn during the show.
I don't know how to be anymore, Carl. I do know this. I am going to get more in the happy talk business because I watch these guys careening through these shows. I won't say names because I like a lot of them, but there's a lot of repetitive stuff going on some other shows, and I always think to myself, yeah, sure, I repeat a story here and there, but I try to bring it in each day and say, how you feeling today? Translate that to the show and try to be hyper honest, and it's not a good play, man. It just gets too awkward.
I don't know. Well, listen, it's refreshing for me to hear someone react mostly exactly how I would react. If some people don't get that some of us can be happy and have good lives and still be exasperated, we have to call BS when we see BS, because when you stop doing that, it takes a chunk of me away. Last night I see postal workers throwing packages from their car. One guy who threw away 45,000 pieces of mail. This is the inept, pathetic institution that us taxpayers have bailed out countless times. What, I can't be exasperated when I see that?
Well, I know they do that play where they translate out, but it was surprising me from Jonathan. I do not feel I help. I guess he means a psychiatrist. I'm really happy. And honest to God, if I wasn't on the radio every day, and I won't be on the radio my whole life, let's face facts, nobody does everything forever, I won't pay any attention to this stuff. But I have to for purposes of chatting about it on a day-to-day basis. But you know, when somebody else changes, I think they think that the whole thing has changed. Now, whatever has happened in Jonathan's life, I don't know him enough, but he's a sweet guy. He's a smart guy. He always brings us great sandwiches and pizza. I mean, he's a lovely cat. But something's changed there. I didn't realize it had changed till halfway through the interview. But that whole thing about, no, you need to get some help. I'm really worried about you. I can only go so far with that joke, and then I want to say to him, no, I don't need help. And then I think, you're on the radio with a stranger insisting to him that you don't need help, and he's reticent to believe in it. It gets too awkward. Anyway, Carl, good to talk to you. Where are you performing this weekend?
I am down at Lots of Laughs in North Andover this Saturday night. Thanks, man. And by the way, I'll sit down with a legal pad any day with you. You can have the couch.
Thank you, my friend. There you go.
All right.
I would trust Carl.
I think we all should trust Carl. Carl, by the way, will be joining you in the New York studio when you're there
beautiful.
next week. Yes.
Oh, he's one of my. Is he coming down for the whole show or just an hour? What are we going to do?
I think it'll be an hour because of the travel of Mr. Zahn. But.
No, I always enjoy seeing Carl, and that'll make me happy. But really, I'm telling you the truth, folks, when I tell you that in my day-to-day life I'm happy. And part of radio, I don't feign stuff, but certainly you understand that radio is sort of a Sardi's caricature about your inner dialogue, and that you have to make it entertaining. And I also think that there is a way to teach lessons. It's almost like an inverted Socratic oath where when I chide women about being soft, I always think this will anger them enough that in this next election, they won't let the Sandra Flukes of the world represent them. And that I have to rethink my drink here, as they say in the trade. I can see that a lot of this should be done in some sort of rote or something. But when I listen to radio, honest to God, I'm just doing what I find interesting. I like radio that is sometimes seamless, sometimes funny, sometimes informative, sometimes amazingly awkward. People have told me from Minnie Guggenheim on that doesn't work in radio. I've continued to do it. It seems we're doing pretty well. But I can see it does bring its own particular headaches with it. Let's go to Larry in South Carolina. Hey, Larry, how are you?
Shalom, aloha.
Hello, shalom to you, my brother. Good.
You fill the air better than anybody, bar none.
Thank you, my friend.
Better than any.
Well, thank you, Larry. That's nice of you.
Listen, you were speaking about midget wrestling earlier. It brought back some fond memories. I'm a contemporary of yours. I was 10 years old in 1960. I used to go to the wrestling matches in Baltimore with my grandfather, who swore they were legit. Well, I got to tell you, when the women wrestled with the midgets, even at the age of 10, highly erotic.
It was crazy.
Even at 10 years of age. Do you remember Bruno Sammartino?
Oh, I met Bruno. He signed something for me. He's one of the classiest guys ever, man. When Bruno would come in a suit in Pittsburgh, it was called studio wrestling. He'd come in on Saturday night and sit down with Bill Cardille, Chili Billy Cardille, and he would bring his young aide-de-camp, Johnny DeFazio, with him, and they were the clean guys, you know, the good guys. Man, he was my biggest hero after Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, I got his autograph, and I also got, you'll remember this, Bobo Brazil.
Bobo Brazil, man.
With a cocoa butt. My father was a quasi-racist. Well, you know, when Coco hit him with that hard head, they stayed down.
Bobo was the biggest black guy I've ever seen, folks.
Biggest black guy ever. One last thing. I had a coming-of-age moment when I was 10 at the wrestling match. I saw these guys, what I thought, destroying each other in the ring. I happened to peek toward the back of the Coliseum. The door opened, and they're in the back where they hung out together, hugging and jostling around. The same guys who were killed. I rushed back to my grandfather and say, Grandpa, you know, they're friends. He got furious. He said, no, it's legit. To the day he died.
Well, see, I love that stuff. You know what? I love that people, I don't know. It was a great.
Politically incorrect. It was wonderful. How about the diving horse at Atlantic City?
Yeah. Can you imagine that today? They would make sure that the horse was on a skydiver's back and he popped a safety chute halfway down. The world's gotten better, let's put it that way, in quotes. Spangulary in South Carolina. Bobo Brazil. Oh, my God. What memories. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we're going to talk to Tom Arnold. Christian tells me he's dropped 100. And you don't mean a divorce, do you, Christian?
No, I do not.
Tommy, I remember Tommy at one point dropped 200 in one fell swoop. Space of a day. Maybe 210.
I was going to say something, but it's not worth the headache. So, yeah, we'll just go to break.
Dennis Miller Show. The American eagle is a sight to behold, but never more than when it's embedded in gold. The top-selling gold coin in the world is the gold American eagle, which moves independently of stocks and bonds and consistently holds its value and delivers investment stability. If it's time to add this beautiful coin to your portfolio, Blanchard & Company is who you call. Blanchard & Company has a long and distinguished history of outstanding customer service. So much so, they stake their reputation on it. They offer a 100% buyback guarantee to purchase your investment back at any time. Call 888-360-GOLD. That's 888-360-GOLD. Or go to BlanchardGold.com to learn more. That's 888-360-GOLD. 888-360-GOLD for the premier authority in precious metals and rare coins. Call 888-360-GOLD. Blanchard.
Don't complain about your cape.
Tommy Arnold now has the silhouette of a bullfighter. Extremely svelte. It's Herb Albert Bumper Music Wednesday here on the show. Love me some Herb Albert. Tommy, how are you, my friend?
Good, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm happy for you. Down 100, Tom. What was the epiphany? What light bulb went off?
Well, the epiphany was I had a baby, my first child, and I realized that I was 54 and 100 pounds overweight, and that was probably not good dad weight for me at that time if I wanted to play with my kid for a couple of years. So I just started paying attention to what, you care what your kids eat. And once you have a kid, I mean, it kind of changes, as you know, everything. You pay attention to what they eat.
Right.
I never paid attention to what I ate because I grew up on a farm. I worked at a meat packing plant for 3 years. From Iowa, we eat what we eat. And then I just started, reading some labels here or there and cut down on the bread and the sugar, and that's it. I mean, it's nothing. I'm not on a diet. I eat meat. I eat a lot of meat. I do what I always did. I'm a little more careful. I like the organic stuff. I'm a farmer. I like the organic stuff, and that's it.
I think it's a good sign, a good tell for a father that he has to lose some weight when you and the wife are laying on the bed with the kid in between you, and the kid reaches over to the husband to breastfeed.
Exactly. Well, I swear to you, there were a couple times when the kid started kind of sucking on my shirt, and I was like, okay, this is embarrassing. Well, when you're big like that, you got the kid in between, you're like, what if I roll over? I mean, you get that crazy, those thoughts that go through your head. And since I did grow up, and I worked with pigs my whole life, you see these giant sows with their little babies, and you constantly are. First of all, you got to keep them alive because that's how you make your money.
Right.
But you're like, how do they not roll over? And then that visual is you when you become a father. You're like, I'm this giant pig, and I'm about to roll over other kids.
Nobody comes from a more proletariat base than Tom Arnold.
Absolutely.
Tom's got some gigs coming up. Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa this weekend.
Yes, very excited. It's a great place. It's so fun doing. About 5 years ago, I started really working at it again. And, I started up as a comedian, and I love it. The travel, it's okay.
Well, you always had strong chops, Tommy. Even when I didn't know you, and you were married to Rosie, and it was a bit of I didn't quite know what to make of the whole thing. I do remember watching your chops, like Louie, and they're just guys who have nice moves on stage, and I always dug your moves, man.
Well, you said something cool to me many years ago. It really stuck with me. You said, "Oh, I get it. If there's a joke to be made about you, you're going to be the one that makes it instead of because when I first came on the scene, I would watch Letterman and all these other people. They were doing jokes about me. Then I realized, wait a minute, I should be doing those jokes about me before they do. And you said, oh, that's so smart. And I have to say this about you. You, I've always, I think you're one of the finest comedians ever, for sure in my generation, but ever. But you also got into two fields which takes a lot of balls. I don't know if I can say it on your show. Politics, but also sports. And anytime people are like, okay, politics, I get it, people have different sides, but going in and doing Monday Night Football, being involved in the sports world is more treacherous than getting involved in politics.
Boy, Tom, I can't tell you, it's the most politically correct field that I have ever been in my life. It's a minefield over there because especially in the NFL, at the end of the day, they realize that there are 32 men who own teams, and they're white on white.
Yes.
And everybody who plays for them and has to careen into each other at a high rate of speed is black. And the whole place is just one big politically correct minefield because they're afraid that they'll kill the golden goose. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's an interesting place to be. Let me also tell you on May 2nd and 3rd coming up, Tom will be at the Laugh House in Bloomington, Illinois, not Indiana, Bloomington, Illinois, and May 16th and 17th at the Toledo Funny Bone. Tom, I haven't worked in a comedy club in a while just because I don't know if my chops are up to it anymore. What do you notice new about the crowds than from when we were doing it originally?
Well, I notice I care more if the clubs, because there's some clubs are better than others, and some are very organized, and some they have the crowds know, oh, we're coming here for comedy. It's not to just see a celebrity or whatever it is, and that feels good. I mean, there's nothing, and I'm saying this, if I could play giant stadiums, I'm sure I would, but there's nothing better audience-wise than the 350 people. It's even, the casinos, and I do those too, and they're great. But there's something going on when you get into a club like this club in Tampa that they know they're going there to see comedy. They've seen comedians. They know what to do. The club knows how to run it. It's just that feeling. And a lot of other actors, they do plays and stuff, because they're like me. I decided I didn't want to do every crappy movie that's offered. I'll just do half of them now. But I'm going to go on the road the first 6 months of the year, and that allows me to do that, and I love it.
Do you remember Robert Wall used to do that great joke, Tom, where he'd say, this film was so bad, I'm shocked I wasn't in it.
Yes, exactly. But I honest to God got offered Sharknado 2, and then I went, okay. Because, my thing, too, is I will figure out reasons to do stuff, to say yes, instead of a lot of people try to figure out reasons to say no, and they have these magnificent careers. I always try to find a reason to say, oh, yeah, there's a producer that 30 years ago, he produced this one movie, it was good. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. That'll turn out great. And that's how you do 120 movies, but it's also how like 5 of them are good. But I also, growing up in Iowa, the work,
Tommy, you worked in a slaughterhouse, for God's sakes.
So you got to work, you got to get up and slaughter something.
How bad can a movie be when you've been on a Ford assembly line all day with bovine carcasses, for God's sakes? Every film looks like the Palm d'Or.
That's true. I got to say, being in Hollywood and have come from a meatpacking plant and actually respect that and respect the people that do it and love it and trying to have these conversations with people out here so that they're horrified. It's like as though I was some kind of murderer for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
They don't get that there's a love that farmers, to respect it. And it's also, it was just Passover, and, you do all the Passover traditions. And part of that is about the respect for the animal and the sacrifice that they make for us. And I think I know farmers have that, and they love it.
Animals make good eating, too. Let's just boil it down.
Let's be honest.
They make good eating.
Very selfish. I need my meat.
I always love the idea of you and Arnold sitting there, Arnold with a big Cohiba lit, looking at you saying, Tommy, tell me about the slaughterhouse.
Exactly. Of course he loves it.
Now, how are you turning up in Supermensch? Well, I know Shep. Are you good friends with Shep?
Oh, yeah, very good. Known him for over 30 years. We're touring around with it. Mike Myers directed
right.
it. He did a brilliant job. There's many people in it, and Shep's had this amazing career, and it's a very sweet film, and we're very excited.
We're talking about Shep Gordon, folks. There's a new documentary I called Supermensch, The Legends of Shep Gordon, and Shep has told me Teddy Pendergrass stories that just make me howl, Alice Cooper stories.
Yes.
And did he? I hear he went back out to the islands, right? Didn't he come to the mainland and get married? But it was over, and he went back, right?
He got married over there, and then it was over, and that's in there, and that's a funky situation. But you know what, Mike? Mike just had his second kid, Mike Myers, and I had my son, and I think the thinking is, boy, Shep would be this great father because he's taken care of so many people in his life.
Yeah, Shep's a good guy.
You hope that. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Shep used to roll out, folks, and then he would wander down to the Maui Marriott and the water park, find a lunch date, and then wander back.
That is true. The Teddy Pendergrass story. He managed him and everything with Teddy. And then Teddy had that terrible accident, and then they talked about a comeback, and Teddy, it was a Live Aid, and Teddy was in his wheelchair, and Shep had set it all up, and he was about to go out, and Teddy goes, I can't do this. And Shep goes, guess what? I'm pushing you out on stage. I'm going to leave you there. Do what you want, man.
There's a lot of interesting tales. Thanks, Tom, for your time. Dennis Miller Show. And Angie Everhart is engaged. I'm very happy for her. She's a lovely dame. I did a horror movie with her, Bordello of Blood, and enjoyed my time, excuse me, with her immensely. Real sweetheart. Couldn't be happier. And Mazel Tov, Angie. Let's see what's happening this hour. Wow. Next segment, not this one, but next one, Shatner. That's all it takes. It's like Sharo now. We ought to start spelling it C-H. C-H-A-T-N-E-R, Shatner. About a live movie theater event for his one-man show, Shatner's World. Wait a second. Can't just... Oh, there it is. Also this weekend's Hollywood Charity Horse Show. I would like to see Shatner in a tux with a cigarette doing Equus.
I feel like if the paycheck is right, you will see that one day.
First night, right there. Dana Carvey and I in Washington, D.C. on July 12th and Hollywood, Florida, July 13th. For more information, go to DennisMillerRadio.com. Click on Dennis Live. We're taking phone calls. There's Daniel in Santa Maria. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Hi, Dennis. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
I've been hearing you've had a little bit of the blahs, and I hear you cheer up when you talk about classic movies, and I was just going to recommend sometime spend an hour segment talking about classic movies, and you can relate them to politics as you like.
Well, listen, Daniel, you need not worry about me having the blahs anymore because I talked to Jonathan Hoenig today. He's the sharpest fiscal guy I know, and he told me the place is going great guns. I've adjusted my behavior accordingly, and you'll hear nothing but happiness. Thank you, Mr. President, for leading us back from Bush. Things are great, and I'll be great from here on in. But I like that idea, too, of a classic movie hour. Christian, why don't we do that sometime? Thanks, Dan. Christian?
Yeah.
Why don't we do that classic movie hour? Talk about classic movies for an hour. That was his suggestion. You want to do that?
I feel like we do that every day, but yeah, absolutely.
Maybe for an hour. Good idea. Let's go to Dave in Florida. Dave, how are you?
I'm great, Dennis. How you doing?
Great.
Hey, I want to go from good movies to bad movies. I don't know if you've heard.
I'll do a whole day on bad movies.
I don't know if you've heard, but I know you've interviewed him. Joel Hodgson is thinking about putting the band back together, getting the MST 3000 crew back again, and ranting on some bad movies. Want to get your take on that. I know you're a fan.
Boy, I thought they left. That's like the band getting back together, Christian, didn't that?
Yeah,
didn't they?
They ended that in 1999, and then they went on like separate groups, and like the guy who took over for him ended the show. And
I didn't think it ended. I'd have to talk to Joel about that because it did not end well.
Well, I read an interview actually, and
Thanks, Dave.
What he's thinking about doing is the show would be probably for Netflix or maybe on the internet, but he wouldn't star in it, and neither would any of the other guys who were on it later. It would be new characters, but the same format. And then, Joel and Mike and the other guys would probably, have cameos occasionally.
That was Joel's thing, though, right?
It was Joel's thing, and he had a problem with the producer that
but that was Joel's idea.
Yes, Joel's idea, and he left the show that he created because he had a problem with a specific producer.
Sorry, my wife's here. What, honey? I'm not cranky today. I'm just... no win here. All righty. Mystery Science Theater 3000. They should do that live, shouldn't they?
Yeah, Joel and a few of the other guys. That's basically the difference. Mike and the later cast, they would do the sort of the movie theater events and internet stuff, and Joel would do a stage show with some of the other cast members. So the sort of very similar continuation of the brand, but it's a little different.
Well, they should find guys who can talk about movies live. I'd like to see that live. Make up jokes in the moment about great movies. And but I do. If Joel wants to bring it back, Joel should be able to bring it back because Joel birthed the blues, as they say. All right, William Shatner after the break on the Dennis Miller Show. I have to tell Bill Shatner that it is, turn that down, it is Herb Alpert Bumper Music Wednesday, because I don't think any man wants to be introduced with that first sound. It's just we have a theme on Wednesdays, Bill, and today's theme is Herb Alpert, so don't read anything into the music.
Well, I don't mind the trumpets, but there's no timpanis.
There you go. Well, it's not a telethon. We'll leave that to Chad Everett in the 3 a.m. hour with the We're talking to Bill Shatner, who what do I have to tell you? He's been great at everything he's touched, be it serious roles or be it humorous roles or be it science fiction roles. He's also got a one-man show now. I had no idea. Shatner's World. It'll be in theaters this Thursday at 7:30 local time. Explain the concept to me, Bill. We'll get to the horse event.
I will, because you've blessed it all up in your introduction. I mean, now I have to backtrack and fix it. Here's what's happening. At tomorrow night, at 7 o'clock or so, 7:30, at a local movie theater near you, 700 theaters across the country. So at some place at your listening audience, there is a movie theater that will be playing the film of my one-man show, which opened on Broadway a while ago, got great critical notices. Audience loved it. I toured in it. I filmed it. I captured the live performance on film, and that film is playing in a movie house. So for the price of a movie ticket, you can see a Broadway show, and if you want information about all that, because it was a delirious, delicious show, if you want information, go to Shatner's World, which is the name of the show, shatnersworldcinema.com. You will find out the name of the theater near you. You will find out how to buy tickets, and you will have a grand time, as did so many thousands of people who have seen the show.
Now, can I expect to find you in a white button-down shirt with black hose, black heels, doing an Elaine Stritch thing from a stool?
Yes, you might find that if you look very carefully.
Well, Bill, it's been the most eclectic CV you have. Do you go from the beginning of Shadow? I don't know. Take me through the arc.
Yeah, exactly. I start at the beginning and at the end. I die on stage just for that performance. So it starts at conception and ends at it is a look at the show's theme is the joy of life. This the show's theme is saying yes to opportunity to be alive during the brief time we all are alive.
Mm-hmm.
So thematic to that are stories and episodes and music. And I talk about gorillas, and I talk about motorcycles, and I talk about comedy, and I talk about love and hate, and I talk about Star Trek, and I talk about Dennis Miller. I mean, anything.
Well, the one-man show, folks, and now that I see this is a Fathom event, fathomevents.com, you can find out more. We do the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys over here. They do those shows, too. This is a taped performance of his one-man show, Shatner's World. It'll be in theaters this Thursday. It's at 7:30 local time in your theater, over 700 venues, as Bill said. So look for the one nearest you. And, Bill, I guess it all leads us to the inevitable conclusion that out of all the great characters you've played, the most important character you've ever been brilliant at is William Shatner, quite frankly.
Well, the truth of the matter is every performer is themselves. They bring some aspect to a role they're playing, but always it turns out to be them. And we can't escape that. I can't think like I wish I could be as funny as you, but I can't be, and as observant and piquant as you, but I am me. So I bring that to the role, and therefore that which the story I am telling you is me, but it is more than me, if you understand.
Well, you seem like a man in full, as Tom Wolfe said to me. I always think, wow, this is a happy man. And how ironic that I think your happiness, your contemplative manner, will lead you to eventually outlive the times that Star Trek was set in. That's how long you're going to live.
If it were true, it would best be now, because time is marching on. It's a wonderful show, Dennis. I hope you'll have an opportunity to go to a movie theater near you, or bring your friends, or whatever. It is a joyous show, and your listening audience will love it.
Well, Bill's also bringing his one-man show to the Hollywood Theater at the MGM Grand. I've performed many times in that theater, great place, in Las Vegas, June 19th through 21st. Now, we're talking about joy.
And that's the live one.
Yeah, the live one.
And I'm so looking forward to it, Dennis. I've never been able to use the phrase, I've played Las Vegas, but I'm playing Las Vegas for those 3 nights on June 19th, 20th, and 21st, indeed.
Now, it's interesting you're talking about joy, Bill, because I saw the most fascinating thing, and this reminded me of you because of the great joy you derive from the equine community, about these children who are completely stuck inside themselves in autism syndrome, who go and are with horses, and it just opens them up. And I thought, my God, that's why you get such great joy off it. Tell me about your...
How ironic it is for you to bring that up, because I'm speaking to you from the Los Angeles Equestrian Center, where the Priceline.com Hollywood Charity Horse Show, sponsored by Wells Fargo, is taking place. And when I put this phone down, I'm going to get into the saddle on a horse and go and compete in the horse show today, and I will be competing Saturday and Sunday. Winona Judd is coming in to sing for us at the party Saturday evening, and the whole Hollywood Charity Horse Show is every dollar that's given to us goes to these remarkable children's charities, and many of them are this riding therapeutic program to which you referred. And by the way, Dennis, we're discovering that these therapeutic programs, these riding therapeutic programs, also work extraordinarily, miraculously on veterans coming back with many of the same ills as the kids have.
Oh, really, Bill? That's fascinating, too. So they're able to... Boy, what an odd reentry it must be from the horror of the battlefield back here. And the horses, God bless the horses, giving off some vibe to heal all these people, right?
That's exactly it. They give off a vibe, both in their bigness, their emotional equanimity, the fact that somebody can get on them who might not be able to walk, and it has the sense of motion, the sense of emotional identification, as they fall in love with the horse. It all works.
So you're telling me that the equine community is named the equine community because of their equanimity.
That's a good play on words. I wish I had thought of that.
Well, I wish I was Kirk. Come on. The grass is always greener on the other planet. There you go, my friend. The 24th annual Priceline.com Hollywood Charity Horse Show, sponsored by Wells Fargo, This Saturday, April 26th, at the Los Angeles Equestrian Center. As Bill said, he's out there now in Burbank, California. For more information, go to horseshow.org. Billy, you got a good heart, baby. Live long and prosper.
I hope your audience, thank you. I hope your audience will turn up at the movie houses tomorrow evening at a movie theater near you.
All right, my friend. Talk at you down the road.
Thanks for talking to me, Dennis. We'll see you soon.
All right, Bill. Good guy, man.
Yeah.
Kirk. I tell you, that's one of my favorite SNL memories is having a steak dinner with Kirk. I've told this story, but I don't want to get people...
well, you know, we do.
I haven't told that story.
I was going to say, we have a lot of new listeners. I think that's a story worth telling.
So Carvey and I and Shatner go out to dinner one night, and we walk out into 30 Rockefeller Center. It's a summer night, and it's just the center of the universe. Jammed. People all over. We're walking with a bus stops, and a guy opens the bus door. I had heard this story about Chevy Chase and always wondered if it was apocryphal. Chevy said when he first knew he was famous as a bus stopped on Fifth Avenue near St. Patrick's and screamed Chevy at him. People all taking pictures out the window. But then I had it happen with Shatner where a bus stopped, and everybody knows Bill Shatner, but they all know him as Kirk. I mean, they know he's Shatner, but all their fond feelings for him at that point, and he's certainly morphed out now into a second career of some sort of self-deprecation and parody, which I find very endearing. But at that point, it was all Kirk. And you'd hear, Captain Kirk! Kirk! James T! Then the insiders, Tiberius! And everybody's saying hi to him. And as we walk to the steakhouse, at this point, he's, 25 years into being thought of as a spaceship commander.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a little down on it. I think as you get closer to your denouement, you re-fall in love with things that you can dare to disparage in your middle age. You know, but then at the end, you go, my God, how lucky I got to be Captain Kirk. But at that point, he's a little hangdog about it. And he's throwing up the live long and prosper thing at hip level. That's what he's giving to people. He's talking. Now, I've had the Chateaubriand here, but the New York strip, the bone-in, it's the T-bone is just, and somebody's screaming Kirk, and he just like half glances their way and throws the live long and prosper digital split up, you know. But he doesn't even bring it up in front of him. He throws it up in a back, like Kenny Rosewall's backhand. And I said to him, "Is that all you're giving up, Bill? Is that all you give up anymore?" And he looks at me and he extends his hands and passionately he looks at me and he says, "What do you want me to do? I'm not Kirk." And I said, literally, as you deny being Kirk, you've never been more utterly Kirk. And I could see the strange world that was Bill Shatner. God, he made me laugh a lot. All right. 866-509-RANT, our phone number. And it's such a good cause. We'll plug it once more. He's got the Priceline.com Hollywood Charity Horse Show, and it's sponsored by Wells Fargo. So Bill is master. That's what a convivial interlocutor he is. He's able to give people the credit for the show at the beginning and then a different company at the end.
Yes.
The Priceline.com Hollywood Charity Horse Show, sponsored by Wells Fargo. Beautiful. And I didn't even notice it till now. That's what a mediator Bill Shatner is, that he's able to put a different sponsor on the beginning and end of the simple words Hollywood Charity Horse Show. This Saturday, April 26th, at the Los Angeles Equestrian Center in Burbank, California. For more information, there's the simple address, horseshow.org. Phone calls rest of the hour, 866-509-7268. This is the Dennis Miller Show. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. Sorry, I got a little peanut butter toast in my mouth. Christian, can you remind me in your Protestario checklist to not eat peanut butter toast that close to a break?
I believe I've tried before, but you can add some sawdust to that. That'll definitely make it easier for you to come back on the air.
It's Herb Albert Bumper Music Wednesday, and we've been enjoying Herb all day and taking phone calls. 866-509-RANT, 866-509-7268. And you can also leave us a voicemail there. Let's throw a dart. No, let's take one on immigration. I see a couple under there. John in North Dakota, and this speaks back to an earlier past, present, future hour we did with Victor Davis Hanson, where I think I might have pushed this idea a little. John in North Dakota, voicemail number 1.
There's all this word about immigration from Mexico. Why don't we just allow Mexico become part of the United States, and then there wouldn't be an immigration issue.
I don't know that that's what. I don't think that Mexican people want to come here to have it be like Mexico. I think that might be why they're fleeing Mexico. But I don't understand what's up anymore. I live in a time in history where just saying you want to have a border is racist. So something's happened, but I do know that I think it would be fair to say it would be harder for you to go south of the border to Mexico and establish a business and start earning there than it would be to come here. I think that's a fair statement. So I don't quite understand borders. I guess a border is a thin line separating countries, but I guess in contemporary climes we're reminded that even a thin line has two sides to it, so two facades. And so I guess the one is impenetrable, and in the spirit of keeping, the Mexican heritage, and the other one is diaphanous, and if you note that difference, it's racist. So I don't even understand anymore. Frank in Memphis. Hey, Frank, how are you?
Oh, well, thank you. How about yourself?
Good, Frank.
Earlier in the show, you were talking about wrestling and growing up in Pittsburgh and watching wrestling. Memphis, hotbed of wrestling for years and years and years. And back in the late 50s, early 60s, there's a wrestler here that was a bad guy, had blonde streak in his hair. His name was Sputnik Monroe.
Now that one I've never heard of.
Oh, gosh. Oh, he was big locally. And there's a fellow that's written a book about the early days of wrestling in Memphis. And the title of the book is Sputnik, Masked Men and Midgets.
Wow, if that isn't a book title that will draw you in, I don't know what is. Thank you, Frank, in Memphis. And Sputnik, Masked Men, and Little People. Just saying, I find it easier to just get midget out of the way if I was a small person. Although it's two syllables, but the other one turns into Middle Earth or something. Is that what the name of that place is? Where
the hobbits live?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then this Little People. I just had more trouble. That's 4 syllables. Midget, you're in, you're out. And 4 syllables there, and it's got a whole Miss Brigadoon feel about it. 866-509-7268. 866-50-RANT. Our phone number.
509-RANT.
What did I say?
50-RANT. Because you were thinking of Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
And the Little People. Postal workers plan protests in 27 states Thursdays after the opening of postal counters in Staples stores that are staffed with Staples employees. And I'm thinking the protesters will be 3 to 4 days late, dressed in torn clothing with noticeable coffee stains. Knee-high black socks. Wow, that's a pretty bold move. Who made that move? I can't believe that the feds would let that happen. They need all union employees on the reservation. So
I believe that the post office was privatized some time ago.
You're kidding me, Christian.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Jeez. See, these are the downsides of not paying attention anymore. Well, then, I'll tell you, there's only been one place that I felt like I was stuck in more of a miasma in my life than a postal office in the mid-'70s. Staples. You ever go in there and try to get somebody to help you? Have you ever seen people? There are people hurting their neck. They have to wear a neck brace, averting your gaze so quickly to ask for help in a Staples. And they quit going to Staples. Start going to a Office Depot. And I'm not saying Office Depot exactly works like clockwork, but at least people aren't diving out the windows to not help you with anything. That's my favorite. Well, I've had that move. I remember that's one of the reasons that I had to move on from the food store I was working at, because I only got a half hour for lunch, which bothered most of us. But then again, I wasn't going to protest. You'd get fired. This when unions, they helped a little, but you'd still get your ass fired. I don't think you can get fired from anything today without them building a case over a year. But I did think to myself, well, geez, the time clock's at the front of the store. I'm at the deli counter, which is in the back of the store. I have to go up to the time clock and punch out and then get back to the deli to eat and then go back up to the front. And literally on the way, walking through a huge supermarket, huge is making my case too much, but big, you were losing around 6 to 7 minutes because all the people would stop you and ask you where things were. Naturally, I do it now. So I made a big sandwich board sign up since we worked in a deli, and I cut some twine from the deli thing that we wrap meat with, and got 2 big pieces of cardboard from a box we weren't using, and in magic marker put, "No, I don't know where it's at," and put it over my shoulders when I would walk up. Needless to say, I did not play well.
I can't imagine that went well.
With the powers that be. Let's go to the phone lines. It was at that point that I began to see early signs that the deli business might not be for me.
Yeah.
I think one has to be attentive to signs in your life that maybe you're... Let's go to Suzanne. Susan in Texas. Susan, how are you?
She handed me the phone, Dennis. I'm sorry, but it was...
No, that's okay.
Oh, I love you, dude. I can't believe I'm talking to you.
Well, that's nice. Say hi to Susan for me. I gotta move on here and tell her I dug wrestling too, and thanks for the nice call. All right, 866-50-7268.
Wait a minute.
Make them work for her.
Oh.
Make them work for her.
Think about that for a second.
866-509-7268. Dennis Miller Show. Thank you, Herb Albert, for a lovely bumper music Wednesday. On tomorrow's show, our guests will include musician Charlie Daniels and actor Jared Harris from Mad Men. I believe he also, is he Moriarty?
He is indeed, yes.
If you miss either of those segments, go to DennisMillerRadio.com to join our premium service, the DMZ, where you can download the show and listen at any time. You can also stream the show using your iPhone with the Dennis Miller Radio app, available free from the iTunes Store. Taking your phone calls at 866-509-7268. Steve in Chicago, you're first up on the Dennis Miller Show. Hey, Steve, Dennis Miller here. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, Dennis. I just wanted to tell you that I've noticed a similarity between store employees and cockroaches when you turn the light on. It's like every time I come around the corner of a box store like a Staples or something, there might be a few employees there, but they scatter. And if you're lucky, one of them just kind of freezes and you can grab them. But otherwise, they just disappear into the woodwork.
All right, Steve. Similarity noted, my friend. Exasperation registered. Yeah, you know there's some stores and the people don't want to be there. I get that. It's not a great job. I've had those jobs. I kind of played this game myself, but there's a way that you can... there's just a way that you can avoid being involved. It always reminds me of when there were 4 guys lifting a sofa to move it into an apartment building, and 3 of the guys lifted, and 1 guy kind of lifted. And I think a lot of people are kind of lifting at work now. And I get it. It's the new way. Escalating tensions in Ukraine. U.S. troops have arrived in Poland for exercises across Eastern Europe. I'm pretty sure the commander-in-chief's not going over to Warsaw, but do you think they risk sending Biden over?
Oh, I don't know about
no
that.
doubt his big book of Polish jokes that he got for Christmas. You talk about an accident waiting to happen. If I ever hear that headline, I might take a couple days off and fly over just to be on the ground to witness it. Vice President Joe Biden arrived in Poland today. Beautiful. Also earlier today, President Obama opened a 4-country Asia tour aimed at reassuring our allies in the region that the U.S. remains a committed economic, military, and political partner, as long as China says it's okay. They've given us the green light. Let's go to Jim in Florida. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, Dennis. What's happening, brother?
Young kid with a dream. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is the stuff going over there in Russia, and I was just wondering what your take was on Obama sending over troops over to Poland, and what your take on Russia saying that if we do any more sanctions or interfere with anything in Ukraine, that they're gonna do something about it.
Nothing's going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Listen, having troop maneuvers over in Poland in lieu of actually just keeping the missiles there on the outer perimeter is that's not threatening Putin. Putin knows nobody wants to go to what are we going to get in the Wayback Machine with Mr. Peabody and Sherman and go back 60 years and start fighting a conventional on the ground, or 70 years in Europe? No, that's just not going to happen. Nobody expects that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen. I don't care if it's Curtis LeMay. If you brought him back from the dead, he wouldn't want that. I'm just saying you have to put some sort of warning on your visage 6 years ago when you first get in to preclude this happening. We didn't. I don't think they take Obama seriously. And they'll move about at their discretion, and we're not going to do anything, and I'm okay with that. I don't want us to go to war with Russia over the Ukraine. I could care less. Could care less if the Chinese start taking Japanese islands. I could care less if Putin puts the whole USSR back together. Maybe eventually, like I said, if the USSR reinvigorates their brand and goes to war with the preeminent economic power in the world today, China, and they butt heads over some property that they both want, they do each other. That's I think the president, in a way, has wanted to get us off the medal stand. I'm pretty sure we're in bronze at this point, but I don't think we're in the fight between the two big boys at this point. So let men be men, and we're over here. Are we not men? We are Devo. 866-509-7268. Justice Department has begun considering clemency applications for nonviolent federal inmates. There's a lot of stipulations here, who have behaved in prison, no significant criminal history, and have already served more than 10 years behind bars. Those are the criteria. They got to be doing this just to bug Bernie Madoff, right?
Probably.
But, he's got an MSNBC show waiting for him the second he gets there, or at least a CNBC show. Him and Jimmy Cramer.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see those two madmen together?
Bye.
Bernie.
Steal.
Madoff and Kramer. Let's go to Brad in Orlando. Hey, Brad, how are you?
Hey, Dennis. I'm pretty sure you're sick of it, too. Every time you hear Obama saying it's settled law, it's never going to be repealed, he's insulting half the country then, because we have a
Wow.
Uh-oh, they took him on.
Yeah. You know what? That guy was speaking one thing, truth to power. And we can't have that in this country. You know we can't.
And they abruptly reminded him that it's more like 52 to 48. If it was exactly 50 to 50, sorry, I have to put a fine point on that, but that's the problem. It's not 50-50 anymore. It's not even 50 plus 1. It's around 52-48 are on Obama's side. So what can you say? We live in a civilized society. That wins. 52 is more than 48. I think it's fair to say that. 866-509-7268. It matters more important. Justin Bieber apologized Wednesday to those he offended. He visited, God, this kid's a gaff a minute, isn't he? Anne Frank, thanks for being a believer. Now he visited a Japanese war shrine, which is considered offensive by Chinese and Korean people. Everybody's pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure that the Beeb is, I guarantee you what the Beeb's going to apologize about is he doesn't want to get on Kim Jong-un's radar. Because there's being a political enemy, and then there's having that Nimrod eyeball you and imagine you in a dark green jumpsuit that would really bring out the sparkle in his eyes. Let's go to Michael in Los Angeles. Hey, Mike, how are you? You're on the Dennis Miller Show.
Dennis, I couldn't be better. Here I am following William Shatner. What a pinnacle moment in my life. I'm a great fan of his. And,
he does leave an appreciable wake, does Kirk.
Well, I live here in Canyon Country in Santa Clarita, and they filmed a lot of the Star Trek out here. And so at the hills out here, the Vasquez Hills, and it's really great. Anyway, I had some thoughts about this guest, Jonathan Hoenig. It really didn't set well with me. I think he's really out of touch with reality, and it doesn't have any bearing on what I'm seeing in the world. And it's frustrating to hear that call.
Well, listen, I like John a lot. We were awkward with each other today, but I didn't know when he was teasing and then when he was serious, but that's probably my fault as a host. But I do think if I had to boil that call down, and I'm just telling you the truth, this is my take on it, Jonathan's no longer shorting stocks. He's playing them, the traditional way to win. And that's the only thing I can take away from it, because I have talked to John in the past where he was less optimistic. But I guess I do think it's a valid point to bring up that Bernanke puts $80 billion a month into the marketplace. I do think that's a valid point. He does not think that that's the whole of it. As he said, he believes that it's the people he runs into on a daily basis, the artisans, the person making his coffee, the person, and they're bringing us back. I asked him about the 7% unemployment, which I find the new normal, and I don't remember that ever being the normal. I always thought they said full employment was 4%. I think there's a lot in the 3%, and I also think a lot of part-time jobs and stuff like that. He immediately reminded us that in France or parts of Europe, it's 10%. So there's definitely been a shift in his perspective. But I do want you all to know that I am a happy man. I let this stuff in less than a lot of people. But when you are on the radio 3 hours a day, you have to talk about it once in a while. It's just how you fill the time. But if I wasn't talking on the radio, I would pay probably no attention to it. But I am enamored that John feels it's coming back and that he sees good signs. And like I said, I can adjust my head to the 7% thing, if that's the new way. Indeed, parts of me now, it slips my mind for a while. And then I remember, well, if everything's like good, we'd have more employment, but maybe this is what the employment we have right now. Maybe freeing yourself from job block is a valid aspiration. I don't know anymore. I'm learning all these rules as I go along. I do know that I respect John immensely, and he's a sweet man, but I was a little surprised at the effervescent nature of his optimism, because I probably talked to him a month ago, and it wasn't so much. So I assume, I'm thinking of calling him and giving him some money to invest. Sounds like he's doing well over there. All right. Well, I'd like to think it's all coming back, and maybe it is. Maybe I'm a half-empty sort of guy. I'll try to keep my antenna up more and see where it's going. But some wise people are telling me that things are coming around. So let's hope. Dennis Miller.
Hey, folks.
Hey! Welcome to the Dennis Miller Show. I am the aforementioned Mr. Miller, and we've been working a lot this morning. Christian and I went into some pre-production work on some set pieces. It was pretty exciting.
Pre-pro. Yeah. We've been a pre-pro all AM.
It was, we call it, our approach to production work is called the wall of innocuity. It's a playoff specter.
Sure.
And I do mean James Bond's nemesis. Hey, what about a character named Phil Spector?
What about a character named Phil Spector?
Huh? It's a little guy who pets a cat, and he thinks more than the cat. Sorry, I sat next to Phil Spector on the floor at a Laker game once. I'm still haunted by the smell. It's like the first time... You ever get a colonoscopy, Christian?
Not yet. I've got that.
I know you don't need one. I didn't ask. You should want one. I don't even mean for health.
Look, I want one. I just haven't had one.
You go in, they give you Versed, and they've got a tube in your butt. What's not good about that?
Listen, I'm on board. Somebody come down to the studio.
It's like the bookmobile. The colonoscopy mobile. They just come, hey, everybody. Play that bell sound when Mr. Softy's outside. But you have to take this stuff that the taste still stays in my mouth. It is an indelible olfactory memory. And I know olfactory smell, but I've branched it out to anything inside the upper palate. Sorry about that, including that little nature's ceiling fan, the uvula. But I can still summon up Phil Spector's "oh" at the Laker game, and I do mean "oh." Jeez,
Oh.
Cheese. Sorry. My apologies. I'm getting better, but I slipped. Cheese. Yeah, that's what he smelled like. Cheese. Bad cheese. Anyway, who's on today? Later in the hour, townhall.com political editor, young kid with a dream, Guy Benson. He's going to tell us about Melissa Harris Perry encouraging Democrats to have some pro-Obamacare swagger. And they are, and they've won. And we who are about to, what did the gladiators say? We who are about to see our political dreams die salute you. They're not even being gracious about it. Remember that somewhere in the next century, history will correct this. And just, they won't. That's the thing with Republicans. They'll get back in and they'll be sweet about it. Some are, crazy zealots too. But for the most part, their decency won't allow them to grind the heel in like these guys are. So we'll also take your phone calls, 866-509-7268, our website, DennisMillerRadio.com, where you can become a premium member to download the show and listen at any time. I should start having a shrug seminar, Christian, where I assign some sort of mantra. Harry Reid is not a name, it's a description. Harry Reid is not a name, it's a
Wouldn't the best part of the shrug seminar be the fact that you wouldn't show up?
Exactamundo. That's the proof in the pudding. I mean, wouldn't that be great if you went to a Tony Robbins thing and Tony Robbins wasn't there? Wouldn't that teach you something?
That would teach you a lot.
I actually know somebody who went to a Tony Robbins thing and said that it was quite illuminative. And much like Letterman, keeps the room cold. Isn't that interesting? What's that about? 866-509-7268, our website, as I said, DennisMillerRadio.com, where you can become a premium member to download the show and listen at any time. Let's get to the soup of the day, which is chicken with cornmeal dumplings. Now that sounds good to me. Is this a panko?
Yeah.
Are you
panko dumplings, sure.
Are you canning this season?
I've been so busy, but I've got...
That's two seasons in a row, and a couple seasons ago, I remember you made a bad stab at it and canned Ebola jam, as you called it. And that's still on the shelves here in the Dennis Miller store.
Look, when you have an Ebola canning incident, you end up getting the canning yips, and that's just what I got. I can't follow through right now.
All right. Well, I see you've scheduled SARS marmalade this year, or SARS malade. Good luck with that. Brought to you by Samuel Adams. Step up your game with a Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Samuel Adams, for the love of beer. All right, Guy Benson is not with us till 3/4 of the way through the hour, so we will take phone calls at 866-509-7268. I'm feeling remarkably spry at the moment, but that usually, I must have had sugar or something, because I'm about to crash. If you want to get a decent answer, call now at 866-509-7268, because I predict, Christian, usually 31 minutes from my ingestion of a yodel.
Yes.
There's a big crash out, right? Or a yoo-hoo, or what is a yodel?
A yodel is basically a Swiss roll.
Okay.
Yoo-hoo is liquid.
Okay. Now here's one of the key things. Any of the kids who want to get out in radio out there, you have to develop the ability to be as interested in the consequential as you are in the insipid. Did you hear that play I just did where I said, okay, really amped up about Christian telling me what a yodel is?
I appreciated that.
That's the key to a career in radio. Dennis Miller Show. Communication is key to your business, and you can't always meet your colleagues and collaborate in the same room. Stay connected with coworkers and clients with GoToMeeting by Citrix. It's the proven solution for meeting, collaborating online. With GoToMeeting, you can share the same screen to review documents, you can make presentations in real time, and with built-in HD video conferencing, for better or for worse, you just need a webcam to see each other face-to-face. See who's sweating it. GoToMeeting works on any Mac, PC, tablet, or smartphone. We use GoToMeeting all the time here at the show when I'm traveling. I connect with Christian, my producer in L.A., while my engineer is in New York, and I'm in a hotel somewhere. Anywhere. See why millions choose GoToMeeting. Start hosting your own face-to-face online meetings today. And try it free Free. What do you got to lose for 30 days? Visit GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, use the promo code Dennis. That's how you get the deal. GoToMeeting.com, promo code Dennis. Now, we had to have what we called pizza votes in the cafeteria that day.
Sure.
Give him a little fromage base coat, but then he could chirp away. And he could fart in other tongues.
Wow.
Now, you ever heard a Portuguese fart in America? No.
No.
Because it doesn't happen a lot. Maybe that kid who won the America's Got Talent, I think he's able to. Have you ever seen that kid?
Which one? The ventriloquist?
He's a ventriloquist.
Terry Fader, sure.
God, what a nice guy. I mean, I saw him on TV, and it's eerie how talented he is. I mean, he can sing. The puppet sings. He doesn't open his mouth. He has the puppet sing famous people's voices. I'm telling you, it's honest to God. It's listen. Nothing funnier to me than a cursory or a rudimentary puppeteer. Somebody's barely getting it done. It's like when Beck rounds off his robot dance in concert. I mean, they have to carry me out. I laugh so hard. And somebody who's barely getting got by as a puppeteer, that is funny to me. But that is not to say that you do not come across a stunner once in a while. And Fader is one of them. And Jeff, why am I blanking on his name?
Jeff Dunham.
Dunham. He's so good with the puppets. All I can think is Jeff, old skull terrorist guy. You ever see that character?
Ahmed the Dead Terrorist? Yes.
Hey, we had some idea earlier. What was it? I forgot it already.
Oh, I already forgot it, too.
Me too, but it was kind of...
I liked it, too.
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was great.
I didn't like it enough.
You're right. You're right.
Either that or I'm going to steal the idea from you, and I'm pretending to have forgotten.
I'm reading some of the tweets about Clarence Thomas after yesterday's. I guess they had a Supreme Court decision on affirmative action. I'm just shocked to read that an affirmative action thing got shut down. I mean, that boggles my mind.
Yeah.
But Clarence Thomas, the liberal community, is weighing in, and it's just, you are the worst Negro in history, it says. These are the tweets. Boy, do they get vile. Like I said, when liberals cut notions crater, they get vile, man. Unbelievable. You know how some of them put their pictures up? I can't tell you how many white guys are lecturing Clarence Thomas on how to be black. It's amazing to me. Or how they feel he's supposed to be black. It's just, the world's gone mad. I don't know what to tell you. Let's go to Mark in Chicago. Mark, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, cool. Hey, I'm driving around in my truck here, and I don't know where you are in the segment on this, but, going back to my college days from the University of Michigan, we went down to Daytona Beach and with a bunch of stoner friends of mine, and, of course, these are days long gone by. But when it was time to go, we all went north along I-75, and one of my friends took a left and continued going south for another 2 hours until they realized that they were...
Well, that's when stoners were fun. Now they're drones.
Oh, no.
Dennis, we've got federal legislation, Bill 230. Shut up and be stoned, you idiot.
Oh, yeah, those were definitely the good old days. And, I couldn't help but remember that, so I just threw my 2 cents in there.
But, Marky, I think you also remember that way back when I used to watch kids get loaded. It would take like 5 joints or something. It was like a beer.
Oh, yeah, really.
I think there's pot out there today. A kid can take a couple hits and wake up in another country. So I don't think it's the same old, same old. Thanks for the call, though. Yeah, at least if you're going to get stoned, have the decency to, do the part. There's the uptight stoner guy reciting legislation. Is there any? It's like when you went to see Lenny in the Village and he was reading his court transcripts. Hey, where's the jokes? Let's go to Lynn B. in Indiana. Hey, Lynn B., how you doing?
Hey, high on life. How are you?
Good. How's your travels? Lynn's doing a Harry and Tonto thing, Songs the Cat, where she's out and about the country. How's things going?
My next trip is Anchorage to see Gwen in Anchorage. And but right now I'm looking at green grass and water and a sky with no clouds in it, and it's just gorgeous. And you know what? heck with marijuana. You can just get high on life.
Beautiful, baby. Good to hear from you,
Yeah.
Lynn, and good luck in your travels. 866-509-RANT. Yeah, I'm wondering when some of these things will turn. Like, when do you sense that tattoos might be turning, Christian? Would it be cool now to have a completely untatted body at some point?
I think we could get to that point.
Yeah, everything
but,
old is new again, right?
Yeah. But I don't know that we're there yet.
Yeah, it's still tat happy.
There's a lot of ink out there, Dennis.
Yeah, but eventually, and this is inevitable, you realize that, tats will become the norm. Kids bridle against the norm. There's going to be kids who are tat-free, and everybody's going to say, cool. And then, you've got the tat of Biggie and Tupac meeting at the Mississippi and high-fiving each other.
Yes, I do.
And then you start, not you, but I'm saying somebody does, and then they start to get man breasts, and all of a sudden, they're low-fiving each other in your 50s, and you're thinking, does this come off? Really? When they said indelible, they really meant indelible? All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Guy Benson, who's more tatted than Queequeg, probably smarter, too, on the Dennis Miller Show. Want to make your small business sound like a big business? Check out Ooma Office, the business phone solution that easily connects to your internet and comes with loads of sweet features like a virtual receptionist to greet callers and direct them to the right extension. Plus, unlimited calling in the U.S. and Canada starts at only $19.99 a month. Look for Ooma Office, that's OOMA, at Amazon, BestBuy.com, or Staples, or visit ooma.com/office and make your office amazing.
Suffering from allergy congestion?
On my nature walks, I couldn't smell the flowers or breathe in the fresh spring air. Then I discovered Allegra D.
Allegra D decongests and depressurizes with a fast, non-drowsy antihistamine, plus a powerful decongestant for 24 hours of congestion-free breathing.
Now I don't just appreciate nature, I breathe it all in.
Allegra D. Stop suffering. Start breathing.
Look for Allegra D at the pharmacy counter. Starts working in 1 hour. Use only as directed. Visit Allegra.com.
Love drama? Teach your teen to drive.
Okay, we're going to merge onto the expressway. Hands at 10 and 2. Check your blind spot! Check your blind spot! 10 and 2! 10 and 2! Merge! Merge!
Hate drama? Go to Cars.com, where you can find helpful reviews of car dealerships near you.
So not bad. Actually, no. You're never driving again.
Research, price, find. Only Cars.com helps you get the right car without all the drama. Cars.com. All drive, no drama.
Here's something surprising about mouthwash. The burn does not mean it's working. Fact is, if you want real, long-lasting, fresh breath, you need an activated mouthwash. Smart Mouth Mouthwash has two solutions you combine right before rinsing, activating the power to eliminate bad breath for a full 12 hours. That means fresh, clean breath all day with just one rinse of Smart Mouth. Rinse at night to prevent morning breath. Activate 12 hours of clean breath with Smart Mouth at Walgreens and stores everywhere. Herb Alpert did this while he was asleep. They didn't wake him up for this. That's how talented the man is. You can hear it kind of. He doesn't complete the notes, but he's in deep REM there. And we're in absolute bliss out here. Welcome back to the Commandant and Slappy Show. I'm the Commandant. Joining us now, political editor. And keep the music up throughout his interview. He's such a nice man. I want to see if he'll even say, Dennis, I mean, this is kind of rude that you'd have me on and just... Nah, we won't do that. He's such a nice man. No, keep it on.
No, turn it down.
Guy Benson. It's like Stephen Wright naming his dog Stay. Here, Stay. Here, Stay. Guy Benson, political editor, townhall.com. How are you, young man?
I'm doing well, Dennis. Thanks for having me back.
Sorry, I had to do some radio hijinks there. It's part of my job.
Oh no, that was wonderful. The music and trying to do the music.
Hey, turn that down. Guy's talking. You can follow Guy on Twitter at Guy P. Benson. Listen, Guy, I never thought I knew the left would have take over because after the last election, but I didn't think they'd be so nasty about it. They're putting it in people's faces now. And then Melissa Harris Perry, I saw Well, you explained to the listeners what she did. They're not being very gracious about the power they wield, are they?
No, and I don't think that should be necessarily a giant shock given the type of ads that they ran in the 2012 cycle, Mitt Romney giving women cancer or whatever that nonsense was. But you're referring to Melissa Harris Perry, who is a host on MSNBC, and she was giving advice to Democrats on her show last weekend about how to extricate themselves from this Obamacare problem that they're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
She recommended that they sort of dial up the swagger and basically berate people who don't like the law and sort of, tell them, I believe her direct quote was, just tell these people, no, you can't keep your crappy plans, deal with it. Basically blaming the American people for noticing the broken promise that Democrats made and sort of doing it, she says, with swagger is the solution to this. And I certainly hope the Democrats listen to her because that is insane.
Well, let me pick up on the dated verbiage and say eventually you're going to go in to see your doctor and his secretary is going to tell you to talk to the hand. There. If they want to use things that Arsenio made popular 20 years ago, let me use one. Guy, do you know why Melissa Harris Perry wears the tampons as earrings on her show periodically?
I did know that was, she's a very deep thinker. And so I think when she wanted to express her deep thinking about the birth control mandate in Obamacare, she decided this might have even been actually in response to the whole Texas brouhaha with Wendy Davis. As a sign of solidarity, she wore tampons as earrings, which I think is a clear reflection of how carefully she enters the public debate. And
a not-so-subtle reminder that her show's entertaining approximately once a month, is the way I look at it. We're talking to Guy Benson. Oh, come on. Women menstruate. Let's all toughen up. She's brutal. We do a joke about her, and we moan. That's why we're getting our ass kicked. We had to get in these people's faces in the same way they get in ours. Talking to Guy Benson. You can keep your crappy plan, just deal with it, as an article about Melissa Harris Perry. Now, I see now that they're literally chopping things off in edits to get people. Well, you explained to me, in North Carolina, Senator Kay Hagan's up against a guy who's, quite frankly, nailing her to the cross about her support of Obamacare. She takes a quote of his and does a really... sharp edit. Explain the rest, my friend.
Yeah, so it's a radio ad that Hagan's campaign is running, which is basically accusing her Republican opponent of supporting Obamacare, right? So it's come to this. Obamacare is so toxic for these Democrats that the best method they can think of to try to blunt the attacks for voting for the law and voting to defend it repeatedly is to try to lie that Republicans also support the law, which approximately 0 people believe, right? So they took this quote from a radio interview that her Republican opponent did in which he referred to some parts of Obamacare as a great idea, but the problem is that it's completely unaffordable and we can't pay for it, and on the whole, Obamacare causes more problems or just as many problems as it solves in the healthcare realm. So this was an answer he was giving describing the reasons why he opposes Obamacare, and because at one small sort of segment of fragment of a sentence in his answer, he referred to something being a great idea. They clipped that, put it into an ad, and said, look, my opponent called this law a great idea, and now he's criticizing me for voting for it. What a fraud. And, I mean, that is...
All right, Guy, let me take this. Let me take this and broaden it out. And I mean this sincerely. I'm not doing this to be a jive guy on the radio. What if I told you that I believe that'll be a winning strategy for Kay Hagan? And I know the next line in these things where people go, at what price victory? I'm saying, would conservatives, Republicans, be willing to be out of power in perpetuity, just sitting there completely impotent on the sidelines, saying at what price victory? Or do you think we'll ever play rough too?
Well, I mean, look, I think that the audacity of this particular ad taking this quote out of context and trying to pretend like the Republicans support Obamacare is so ludicrous that it would be depressing if it were successful. If the Democrats can just...
I believe it will be. I believe it will be. So I'm just asking you to hypotheticalize for a second. I know you're a pragmatist and you can't remove yourself from that, and you're a good guy and you think the world works in a good way. I'm a good guy, I think, and I don't think the political world is such a microcosm. I don't think the right way works anymore. Would there ever be a point, or would you be willing over the course of your lifetime to watch the party that exhibits your beliefs be out of power, that you would ever say, I think we have to start playing rough too? Or just say, it's almost like a yes or no. Dennis, no, I don't think power is worth it. I would never do that. Or, yeah, I think eventually we might have to, Dennis.
I think winning matters. And when you get to means to an end political strategy, of course I would have some qualms about Republicans playing super dirty and being dishonest to win. Obviously, winning matters in politics. But here's the issue that I keep confronting, Dennis, in this hypothetical. Democrats, and you think Kay Hagan will get away with this particular attack. I am more skeptical of that. But more broadly, Democrats face a much lower degree of scrutiny when they lie, cheat, and steal than Republicans do, right? If Republicans, what would be the answer to Kay Hagan? Would it be to find some ridiculous segment of a sentence that she said once that could be...
No, to play the whole thing and to say, Kay Hagan, not my esteemed friend, not all that crap, to play the whole thing on some steps someday with enough... Republican or conservative bloggers there, enough people with cell phones like I see being held up at every concert, and then look at the camera and say, she is a scurrilous liar, a bad person. We're going to start looking for other lies she's telling you. Not this whole kid gloves thing, my esteemed opponent, and we're getting our asses kicked, guy, and we're going out willingly. We've got to start calling her, this woman is a horrible person, a liar. Look at the clip she took. She cut this right down the middle. She's a creep. She's evil. She shouldn't represent you. And then at least if we lose there, guy, at least for God's sakes we tried, right?
Yeah, and what you just described, and whether I would use all the exact same verbiage that you laid out, I don't know, but what you...
Why don't you know, guy?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to call her a terrible person.
What else? What else am I to read from this guy? What part of this thing where she takes a quote and cuts it in half to beat a man who doesn't agree with her? What part of that tells you there must be a good person behind that? What if she's just a bad person?
She very well could be, and I really don't think that she deserves to stay in that office. And I very much hope that she loses, and I hope that she's held to account. And running an ad along the lines of what you described, saying, here's what she said I said, here's what I actually said, she lied about Obamacare, and now she's lying about me. I think that is completely in bounds. I don't think that's playing dirty.
What if that's not enough?
I don't think that's lying. I think that's fair game.
What if that's not enough, guy? I'm just trying to get it out of you that I do think there are some right-minded people on the right-hand side of things who are willing, much like the game of Survivor, and I watch Survivor and I hear people go on incessantly about, I couldn't do that, and you think, my God, it's not the real world. It doesn't translate. It's a microcosm. It's a game board, and the people on the other side of it are using 3 dice and cheating, and we're over here saying, here's what I wouldn't do. Guy, what happens if that kept our party, our conservative beliefs, out of power for the rest of our lives? All I'm trying to get you, is that the way to go?
I don't think that lying down and accepting losses is ever the way to go in politics. And
do you think it's ever right that when somebody lies and cheats and scorns somebody and besmirches their name to say, I think you're a bad person, or no, that's just nothing you'd ever do?
Yes. Yes. What I would not want to do is to answer in kind by running our own completely ludicrously deceitful ads as retaliation. I have no problem calling people out for their lies and demonstrating why they're liars and why they, shame the office that they hold. But I don't think we should ever get to the point of saying, okay, well, if they're going to do it to us, now we're going to take them out of context with our own dishonest ads because, A, it's the wrong thing to do, and B, I think we pay a higher political price than they do. Like, you know, the woman in Michigan.
Guy, how can we be paying a higher price than we're paying right now? You know Obamacare is not a thing for most of the country, that they don't want it. It's in, and it's in inexorably. And I believe that when we don't do stuff like this, when we don't fight back like that, and fight fire with fire, that we're just conceding the battlefield. I hate to see it. You're a nice guy, but we're going to be out of power for the rest of, I'm 60, my lifetime, probably your lifetime. But we will have this sort of thing where we won't attack back in a malicious way against people who are malicious to us. And I guess it's a victory, but I'd rather have some power and save the country. But you're a good man, Guy. You know I admire you immensely, but we're not getting back in if we take that approach, you think?
I mostly agree with what you just said, but I think there's a way to be powerful in your truth-telling without being malicious in kind.
All right, Guy. Guy Benson, townhall.com. Good man.